Welcome to In the Kitchen with Dinah. Today we're making pear and cardamom scones.
Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Someone's in the kitchen, I know. Someone's in the kitchen with Dinah. Gonna taste good, I know.
Pear and cardamom scones. With a name like that, that had to make you say, because these are so delicious. The marriage between the cardamom and the pears and it being fall is something magical, and we're gonna make them today. So let's get started. The first thing we're gonna do is, I have a Bartlett pear. You can use red pear or any of the pears in the stores right now. You can even use canned pears. You just need to kind of pat it down with a paper towel so you don't have all the extra juice. So let's get over to the sink and we're gonna get this peeled, cored, and sliced up. All right, so we got our pear already. Now we're gonna get our dry ingredients together. We need 2 cups of flour and then 1/4 cup of sugar. And I'm gonna get a little extra for later on my board. Let's get some sugar. So let's finish getting the dry ingredients together. We need 2 teaspoons of baking powder. We need 1/4 teaspoon of salt. A 1/2 teaspoon, I've got all these things, a 1/2 teaspoon of soda. And then one of the stars of the show, some cardamom, and we need 1/4 teaspoon or a little more if you like it, and you can even add cinnamon if you like. Cinnamon and cardamom are amazingly delicious together. And if you've ever had chai tea and you like that, that is one of the spices in chai tea, and you're probably gonna love these. So let's get these mixed up here together. Then we're gonna add some cold butter. And I've got it in the fridge behind me. You wanna keep the butter as cold as you can until you get it worked into the flour. So I got my pastry blender here. Hi, Denver. And I have 1/3 cup of super cold cubed up butter. We're gonna just cut that in to the flour, the dry ingredients. This is your arm workout for the day. You just wanna get it to like small, it kind of looks like oatmeal by the time you're done. It's kind of chunky. You just don't want any big pieces of butter sticking around. So about partway through, I sit and take my pastry blender and knock all the butter that's stuck into it off of it so we can keep working it in. I think all the time that people think scones are super hard to make, but really it's just a sweet, delicious biscuit. And the great thing about scones are you can make them ahead the night before and put the cookie sheet in the fridge overnight and then bake them off in the morning to have hot scones for breakfast. So with the holidays coming, that is another reason I wanted to share this with you, because it is so, the cardamom and the pear, it is so holiday to me. It is so delicious. I've also got a cranberry orange scone and a pumpkin scone. I'll link those in the description below and probably right up here. Let me grab my spoon. Okay, so now we're gonna do all of our wet ingredients. So I have a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. You can use cream or 1/2 and 1/2 if you have that. I usually always have buttermilk. It's gonna make these super tender and delicious. We're gonna add 1 egg to this. And then a teaspoon of vanilla. And I just put all of this in my measuring cup. We're gonna whisk it together and then add it in. All right, let's pour that into our dry ingredients. I'm gonna just gently start pulling it together. And as soon as it gets mixed about halfway, I'm gonna add our fresh pears just so they don't get smashed up when I'm incorporating them. But there's the juice and whatnot is also gonna add to those scones. So, oh my, this smells so good. Just kind of keep going until it kind of comes together. I'm gonna do just a little bit of folding in my pan, in my bowl, before I pour it out onto my counter. There we go. So you just kind of want it to come together like that. So I grab some extra flour out of my flour bin, toss a little on the counter. We're just gonna roll this out onto the counter and we're gonna put it into a nice circle. Just pat it down ever so gently. Try to make a nice circle. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna be a little rustic looking, at least mine look that way. And that's totally fine because you're making these by hand. All right, you can see all those yummy pears sticking out. Wonderful. So I'm not sure, that's probably 8 to 10 inch circle. And then I like to take my bench scraper and we're gonna cut this into 8 slices. Make sure when you start this, and I forgot to mention it, to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. All right, and then I like to use this, we just scoop these right on to the parchment. All right. One of the reasons I love using my bench scraper is when I'm done, I can just scrape all my excess flour back into my bowl and move on to the next step. I'm gonna wash my hands real quick and then we're gonna finish those scones off. So I'll be right back. Did I drop him something? He thinks I do. There's nothing. To add on another layer of deliciousness to these beauties, we're gonna just brush the tops of the little half and half. This makes them nice and beautiful and golden. Now, if you'd like, you can sprinkle sugar or some of the sanding sugar on top if you want. We're gonna make a delicious powdered sugar cinnamon drizzle of icing for the top, which is one of my favorites. So let's get these in our preheated 375 degree oven. They're gonna cook between 20 and 25 minutes. The scones are ready, so I'm gonna pull them out, even though they had a minute or so left. They are golden brown and delicious. Look at those. All right, so these are gonna cool for just a second. And as they do, we're gonna make a delicious powdered sugar glaze. So I have about a cup of powdered sugar. And I'm gonna put a little more cardamom, just a little sprinkle, maybe, in there. And I'm gonna add some cinnamon to the frosting. I have like a 1/4 teaspoon. Just want a little something. I always put salt to balance out all that sugar and a little bit of vanilla. And let me grab some milk. Let's whisk this up here. Tiny bit more milk. You want to add the milk just in such small increments because if you get too much, it's really hard to add enough powdered sugar to get it back to the consistency you want. It's getting there, a tiny bit more. I think I'm adding like a teaspoon or so at a time. You see it's pretty thick, so let's add another little tiny douse of milk. Get it out of my whisk so I can keep whisking it. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna pull these towards me here. Then I'm just gonna take a spoon and drizzle it on. Don't these look so beautiful? Wouldn't this be so fun to serve if you had like a house full of people? Yum. Now, because it's just my husband and I, and this recipe made 8, we're gonna actually eat, you know, a couple, we'll probably each have one, and then I'm gonna stick the rest in a Ziploc bag in the freezer. And then in the morning, if I want a scone, I just hop in the freezer, pull one out, pop it in the microwave, and I have another hot, fresh scone. Yum. Look how delicious these are, you guys. Let's take this little one here. Pop it onto a plate. I'm just gonna cut it with this. Make sure you got some coffee or tea ready to go. Oh. Amazing. The thing I love, that pear and the cardamom are so delicious, but I also love having the cinnamon and the cardamom in the drizzle on the top. It just knocks it out of the park. I hope you guys try these anytime, any morning. They're great on a weekend. They're great on a rainy day. The holidays coming, I sure hope you find time to make these, to share them with your family. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I'm so glad you're joining me. It means the most to me. You guys have a great day, and I'll see you on the next episode. You're welcome.
Ow.
No, that's...
DMCA violation. Oh.
Oh my gosh. No violation.
Escapees.
Wow. It's slippery. I feel like I'm always, you know.
Through the magic of editing. Oh man. That's so good.
It's so good.
Gonna taste good, I know.